My name is Maya.
My name's Ryan Casada.
My name is Kat.
My name is Oliver. I identify as, gender non-conforming.
And I identify as a male to female transsexual.
And I'm a trans woman.
And I identify as a proud female to male transgender person.
Maybe gender cool. I read that somewhere and I like that.
I identify as a lesbian. I was attracted to women before and I remain attracted to women.
My pronouns are he, him, and his.
As a woman, I prefer feminine pronouns like she and her.
My personal gender pronouns are they, them, their. For me, I don't prefer to be called they, them, their. You call me they, them, their.
When I heard that Leelah Alcorn committed suicide, I was devastated.
Really depressed.
Brokenhearted.
I felt sad.
Leelah's situation really impacted me because I also grew up with religious parents who used their religion to teach me to hate myself.
I was really young when I started to feel different. I didn't have language for what that difference was.
I was 16 years old when I started to discover and explore my gender.
I was in middle school and I just realized that I didn't feel comfortable in my body as puberty was starting.
For me, personally, I've known my whole life. I just didn't understand it until I was 19. I was so relieved.
Scared as hell.
It made me feel ashamed.
It was a long process of managing my identity for the comfort of others and fighting to be who I knew myself to be.
I swore that I would never tell anyone until I was done with high school because I knew how hard high school was going to be as coming out as transgender. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to come out and I'm going to change my high school so that no other transgender student has to feel this way. And I decided to make the best of what I had. I turned a really negative situation into something really positive and beautiful.
February 25th of 2012. It was a very great day. I call it my Traniversary, and I celebrate every year. It's actually coming up. I'll be 3 this year. I want to say a couple months later, I started changing to pronouns to use they, them, their, because I didn't know that was a possibility before, and no other pronouns I'd really heard of were pronouns I was comfortable with.
It wasn't until college when I was able to actually transition.
Myself was 39 when I finally came out, and at the time I'd been married 15 years and I had a little boy. And the first thing I did at that point was speak to my then wife and let her know how I felt and that I wanted to pursue transition. I went and spoke to a gender therapist who helped lead me through the next steps, therapy, and then later on hormones and my physical transition.
I came out on the Larry King live show on CNN when I was 15 years old, and that's how I came out to everyone all at once. It was like an easy way to come out. I was like, oh, I'll just go on international television and announce I'm transgender, and bam. It was a really scary experience, but I felt really good afterwards because I heard from a lot of young transgender youth that needed someone to look up to and needed to know that they weren't alone.
Right now, I consider myself to be post-transition, meaning that I've transitioned to my full desires, and I'm legally female, and my name has been changed for years, and in truth, I'm in a place that I never thought that I'd be.
I had top surgery. I had a double incision procedure with Dr. Garamoni. A couple days after I got my bandages off and everything had started really healing up, I got out of the shower and I looked in the mirror and I was like, I saw myself for the first time.
At this point, I've completed my transition, including surgery. In fact, next month will be 3 years since I had my gender confirmation surgery. I will continue to take hormones, of course, and will do that for the rest of my life. And I've also changed all my legal documentation to female, including my driver's license and my passport.
I had my top surgery 3 years ago. I'm really proud of my chest because it was a really long, hard battle to get there, and there was a lot of times where I thought I wouldn't make it. I'm not on hormones because I just feel like I don't need them. I'm also a singer and I like the way my singing voice is now. I feel like, hey, I'm fine the way I am now, so I might as well just be me, right? I don't have to change for society.
When I most felt alone was before I knew about what being trans really was, and that you could be a gender that's not boy or girl, man or woman or whatever.
The people that you love the most have taught you to essentially hate yourself. That can take a lot of deprogramming.
Felt alone for most of my life. I felt very isolated. I felt like no one would ever be able to understand me.
There was many times where I felt completely alone and felt like I had almost lost hope. When I first came out to my dad, he really wasn't supportive at all, and that took a very big emotional toll on me, and I was really depressed around that. It was really difficult. And now I just got off the phone with him 20 minutes ago. He is so supportive now. It's like, it is so incredible.
What honestly helped me keep going is seeing that other people have made it through transition. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I remain on YouTube.
It got better when I started to understand that I had the power to change my life. And sometimes those are little things. It isn't always the big things like the hormones and the therapy.
Something that I do a lot is I try to focus on like small victories. I got a really cool hat the other day.
Learning how to do your hair or how to do some makeup.
You know what? That's small, but if it makes me happy, I can try to focus on that rather than things that like make me unhappy.
Reading Leelah's suicide note was like reading something that I wrote when I was her age, when I never thought that I'd be where I am today. If I could speak to myself at that age, I'd tell myself that there's happiness on the other side.
I wish I could go back and tell my teenage self that I wasn't alone, that there were and are a lot of people who felt exactly the same way I did, that one day in the future I would be able to transition.
I would definitely go to high school me. High school me had a really hard time. Like, you're gonna be really hot when you're older. I mean, because you're gonna have confidence and you're gonna learn to love yourself.
So I would have told myself, hey, you're gonna move to San Francisco and things are gonna be all right. And you know what, they are. Things are really good now.
Representation is so vital. And what is so frustrating to me is how rarely we are portrayed with the happiness and success that comes with living as your authentic self.
I think mainstream media pretty clearly depicts transgender people as mentally deranged or sexually deviant. We're an easy target and an easy joke, and it hurts us. It makes us feel bad about ourselves, and it gives other people permission to hurt us. I wish there were much more balanced depictions of transgender people in mainstream media. We are ordinary people living with an extraordinary condition, and that we should be proud.
Focus more on what we're doing instead of just being like, oh, this is a transgender person getting surgery. How about like talking about how we're making art and how we're becoming doctors and how we're making music and how we're doing like all these really cool things. And there's like so much more than I am than just trans, and I wish the media would focus on that. We have everything that normal people have, and maybe just a little bit more stress from outside society.
The media often portrays trans people as tragic characters who will never see a modicum of normalcy in their lives. 2014 made huge leaps and bounds in terms of trans representation, but there's still a long way to go in 2015.
I don't think things will get better for transgender people in society until we get past this whole fixation on our physical transitions. Everybody just wants to talk about what we have in our pants.
Every 2 days, a trans person is murdered for their gender. And trans women of color account for 73% of the hate crimes committed against the LGBT community in America.
Trans women of color, it's unparalleled, the discrimination and oppression that they face compared to the rest of us.
Leelah's last wishes were that gender and gender identity would be taught in schools. The ignorance many people have about the lives, feelings, and experiences of trans people can really create a really hostile environment for them.
I think society is moving forward, and we're doing that by being more open-minded. We are living in the movement right now. Like, it's all happening right now. Whether you've noticed it or not, things are changing. And they're changing quickly, and they're changing for the better.
Society can also help us with access to medical care and better mental health care.
Education is the key in destroying ignorance.
What I think is so important to hear when you're in Leelah's situation is that you're not alone.
Who you are is okay. And I wish someone had said that to me.
I don't think there's a time limit to happiness.
There is no wrong or right way to identify.
You being alive, your existence, is what validates who you are.
You matter.
We all play a really important part in this movement.
And I love you. And I love me. And one day you'll be there too. Thank you so much for those involved in this video. The links for all those fantastic people will be in the description down here. I'm also going to have the links for resources. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please share, because the more people who listen, the more this community will be heard.